Okay, welcome to Truth Concepts for Living a Successful Life. This is going to be a 12-part course. This is part 1, and this course is based on a wonderful book, a pillar in the New Thought community, really treated as the second Bible. It's Emily Cady's Lessons in Truth. This is our rendition or our interpretation of the concepts in that book, in that particular book. So what we'll do is we'll go through a few different slides with some key concepts from each chapter, adding our own interpretation to each. And if you have any questions about this, you can email us or get in touch with us on the web to dialogue about any of those things. So the first key concept that we can extract from chapter 1 is think about what is good. Focus your thoughts and energy on this. So, of course, when we talk about that, that's going to be at the expense of something else, right? At the expense of those things that we do not welcome in our life, right? So whatever it is that we consider to be good health, prosperity, emotional well-being, whatever it may be for you, we want to make sure that we are focusing our thoughts on those things. If we're not, if we continue to rehearse our problems or the things that are unwelcomed, what we should expect is more of the same. So it's a very basic concept, but one that takes vigilance, because we need to understand what we're thinking about. We need to be aware of what our thoughts are, right? Second key concept, our spiritual selves are most powerful, more than intellectual or emotional sides of us, human sides, in other words. We should tend to the spiritual self first, and all other facets of our lives will benefit. And we'll go a bit further on this. If we subscribe to the belief that only that which is of God or the divine realm is real, that is to say, and this is a tough one, that is to say, those things of the human realm, the flesh and bones, anything that we can experience with our senses, actually, is not true, then we have a definition saying that the only thing that is real is our spirit selves, our spiritual selves, our divine selves. Everything else must be some kind of an illusion. Again, a tough pill to swallow for some people. But if we do that, we can amend the second concept and say that not only is it the most powerful, it's the only power. There is only one power, and that is divine power. So anything else is not real. So when we say tending to that, obviously we buy into the illusion of living this life, this incarnation. If we're having trouble, are we spending too much time focused on things of this world and not enough time feeding the spirit, right? If we spend time on those things that are spiritual, and there's many ways to do that, and throughout the life cycle of this course, we'll talk about those, then we claim that if you do this, everything else kind of lines up underneath that. So we must place emphasis at the spiritual level as opposed to the human level or the ego level. There's a million different ways to view that, but we want to make sure we're focused on feeding the spirit, on addressing spiritual needs, our spiritual selves. All right, so that's the second core concept for this week. The third is know who you are and what you're made of. The divine lives in us, in quotes, in is in quotes. We have all we ever need to be successful: strength, love, joy, all the things that are of the spirit. Since we are divine in nature, we have all the things, all the attributes of the divine realm. So know who we are. That kind of plays nicely into what we said about number 2 here. We are divine in nature. If we understand that we're divine in nature, now we can start to claim our attributes, claim our power, and change outcomes. Change the way we react to things that happen to us, perceived things that happen to us, right? So it's really about making this transformation over to the divine realm of living. Not very easy, doesn't feel very natural at first, but it is absolutely the most successful way to walk through life, in my opinion. Number 4, it's all an inside job. Nothing anyone says or does or doesn't say or doesn't do can ever take our joy from us. So it really is not about what happens outside of us. It's really not even about what happens, again, on this earthly plane. It's our reaction. It's our perception. It's how we filter it. It's how we react to it. Are we coming from our higher self, or are we really entrenched in the lower self? That's really what that concept's all about. 5, only we hold ourselves in bondage, and this goes along with 4. And only we can set ourselves free. There is no evil or opposing force to what is good. Doing this sets ourselves free. So if we truly believe, going back to the definition, that the only thing that is real are those things that are from God or the divine realm, then there really is no room for this notion of evil. There is no opposing force. It's our mind and the way we use our mind that makes it so. Right? If we say there's an opposing force, then we'll buy into that concept. But if we can somehow transform ourselves to understanding that the only thing that is real are those things of the divine, then we understand how to view things that happen to us through the course of our lives, and we can put those in the proper perspective. Again, not easy, especially when the bulk of the people walking on earth really buy into things of the material realm. Okay? So 6, we must regularly take time to get to know God, the divine, and hence ourselves. It is with this deep sense of understanding that all good comes. Again, how can we make use of our divine self if we don't understand what it is, if we don't understand what power we have, if we don't understand how to access it, if we don't understand how to return to it, if we don't understand how to align ourselves with it, how to stop being so entrenched in the physical world and placing ourselves squarely in the midst of who we truly are. Okay, so regularly take time. What does that mean? Well, obviously that will bring us into conversations about prayer and meditation and a spiritual practice and a spiritual discipline. The D word. 7, forgiveness is the vehicle by which we are released of emotional and mental bondage. There's been such an emphasis in the New Thought movement on forgiveness, and rightfully so. Really, it's about letting go of anything that is holding me in bondage, anything that is blocking me from my good. So if I have some kind of a difficulty with a certain person or a group of people or an institution, to the extent that I hold on to that and let it kind of rent space in my mind, I can't get to where I need to be. It's a blocker. So forgiveness is a way to say, okay, I'm going to see this differently. Somehow, and it's going to be different for each of us in each situation, but I'm going to see what happened to me or what is happening to me or the fear of what I think will happen to me differently so that I can get back to my center. I can get back to who I really am. That's really what forgiveness is all about. It's cutting the cords to those things which no longer serve me or that block me from my good. 8, persistently train your mind to see only the good in everything. This is a surefire way to manifest joy. Well, this is true, because if we understand that all is good and all comes from God and all is divine and everything else is an illusion, then we could start the very healthy work and the very challenging work in some cases of seeing the good in all, right? Surefire way to manifest joy. That's what we want, right? We want more joy. We want more peace. Well, we're not going to get it if we continually rehearse our problems and underscore the lack and the things we don't have. We must see the good in all. That is the challenge. It's not easy. Hopefully through this course we can give some advice or guidance on how to do just that. And 9, all problems can be sorted out on the spiritual plane most effectively. Again, if the only thing that is real is the thing of the things of the divine, the attributes of God, then why would I want to spend any time in a powerless universe trying to figure things out, trying to roll up my sleeves and figure out how to combat, different things or address different situations or circumstances on this material plane? Wouldn't it be so much more effective to go to source, to go to the realm of divine ideas and address it there, right? So if I address it there, somehow it's like magic, right? But it really isn't magic. It's really governed by divine law. It's just that we haven't been exposed to what these laws are and how they operate to effectively relate ourselves to them and avail ourselves to them. So that's how that works. So week 1's high-level summary: know who you are, spend time with divine intelligence, and all will work out for good. Sounds simple. There's a lot of work that goes into that, but the work is absolutely worth it if your goal in life is to live successfully. So at the end of each session, I give a visual of all the things that we've covered, just about every session. So for week 1, the visual here: steps to take to live a successful life. Step 1, divine mind holds all answers. We just spoke about that. Get to know God better and access these answers. The vehicles to do this are prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation, and I have some courses up there that talk about effective prayer life and effective meditation practice and practices and all the different types of meditation. I suggest you go check those out if you're new to this. But divine mind holds all answers. So obviously we have to be able to tap into divine mind. How do we do it? Well, the main vehicles are a spiritual practice through meditation and prayer. So from the meditation and prayer, the vehicles to access divine mind, we get to know God better. And getting to know God better, since we are offsprings, since we are made up of the substance of God or the divine, we get to know ourselves better. We get self-understanding. How do we work? How do we live successfully? How do we get our needs met most successfully? How do we live a life full of joy and bliss and peace? We understand our power when we do this, right? We get to know God, we get to know us, then we understand what we're made of. We understand how to direct things. We understand how to drive to certain outcomes most effectively, most peacefully. It shouldn't be strained. None of this happens under strain. Use the power to live a successful life. And then, of course, once we can do this, once we have the gift, we can help others. See, we can't give what we don't have. We can't give the gift if we don't understand how to package the gift, how to avail ourselves to the gift itself. So why focus on service? Service is such an important and sometimes under highlighted, how do you want to say, not focused on as much as it should be, but it's such an invaluable part of living. We're here to help each other. We're here to serve ourselves and others, right? So why focus on service? It tends to our primary mission. We're here to serve in one fashion or another. And for each of us, this is really a personal thing. It will look differently. We don't have to force ourselves into a mode of service that isn't right for us. There's enough to go around. There are so many needs. Let's use our gifts. Let's find out about ourselves through this process, and let's find out what our gifts are, and let's start using them in a way that it should feel very, very integrated, very natural for us to use those gifts. For me, this is one of my gifts that always just feels fantastic when I get around learning about New Thought concepts and then teaching about New Thought concepts. It sets me on fire. I love to learn about it. I love to hear about different ideas, including yours. So please write to me and teach me some things that I don't know. It would be wonderful. What you do for others, number 2 here, what you do for others, you do to God and yourself. We're all one. So I can't do anything. I can't dispense of anything that doesn't come back to me. When I give to you, I give to me. If we truly believe in the divine realm, then there is no separation. There is no physical body separating us. We're all one. We're all waves of the great ocean, right? So when I'm kind, this is why when you're kind and you do a good day's work, you come home and you feel so light and you feel so wonderful. Why? Because you put out good energy, and somehow that returns to soften you, and it returns to better you, to help you have a more joy-filled day. Number 3, when you're giving service, you're in the flow of service, and service comes back to you. Well, it's probably not the reason that we set off to do service, but yeah, somehow you smile at people, they smile back. You hold the door open. Maybe not that person holds the door open for you. They're already in the store, but it tends to be this unbroken circle of goodness that flows out through you and in through you. You know, it's like we become that vessel that St. Francis talks about, and, God, make me a vessel. gets the focus off yourself. Life becomes more enjoyable, less depressing, or there's less depression and there's more joy. Well, that's really true. It was once suggested to me, if we have hardships, go find somebody else who is in worse shape than you or who is in need of service. I can't serve two masters. I can't be focused on my list of problems when I'm trying to help somebody else overcome theirs. So this service is really just so powerful. You're letting go of control and fear of not getting what you want. Again, control and fear, all those things are the blocks. If you want to define anything as evil, it's those things that block us from our good. Right? Those things that are not of the divine realm. Again, I don't believe in the notion of evil because I really just believe in one power. But letting go of fear and control takes us right back to where we want to be. We get the blocks out of the way and we get to live our life from our center. We get to live our life through divine eyes. We get to identify, we get to affirm, we get to receive who we really are. As you take care of others, God, the universe, always takes care of you. That is true. Again, probably not the reason that we want to give service, but it happens that way because we're in the flow of giving. We give, we receive. We give, we receive. Not maybe in the same measure at the same time in the same place. In fact, I have seen that infrequently happen that way. But if we have, a wonderful disposition and a nice, airy tone, somehow we become a magnet for good to come into our life. If our heart is open, if we continue to allow our spirit to shine, then it reverberates. Somehow it reverberates back to us. It's just a wonderful way to go through life. And that's regardless of the circumstances. We don't have to do this just when things are good, just when we feel well. We cultivate this compassion, this loving disposition, and we allow that to shine like the sun shines. The sun is never too tired to shine on us, regardless of the day's circumstances. After tragedy, after, jubilation, the sun still shines the same. So let us be like the sun. And as we give service, we live out our true nature, which is loving kindness. And it's magnificent. And it tends to increase exponentially as we do this and grab hold of it. Step 2, or number 2 here. Steps to take to change for the better. The thoughts we think, and we get more into this as the sessions go on, the thoughts we think repeatedly control our life experience. So think about only what is good and change your life experience. And this is really true. We think, I've said this before in other courses here, 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And the statistics say that 75% of them are exactly the same as yesterday. You want to talk about being in a rut and why it's hard to change. We have to slow down long enough to understand what our thoughts are. What are you thinking? If we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, think how many we are thinking just in this 5-second period. If I were to pause and shut up, you would probably not be able to capture all those thoughts and little fragments of thoughts and flip-flopping back and forth. Talk about monkey mind. But that is the challenge, and it goes back to the vehicles of prayer and meditation. If we're able to slow down, if we're able to direct our thoughts, if we're able to choose the good ones, if we're able to think about only what is good or of God or the divine, we can dramatically change our life experience for the better, regardless of what the circumstances are. And oh, by the way, the circumstances are likely to change as well. It's funny how that happens. But even if they do not, we release ourselves from the control, from needing to control, from fearing what if. We're in the flow of the goodness. We're holding on to good thoughts. We tend to get more optimistic. What a wonderful way to go through life, because it really isn't those circumstances. For those of us who have had physical or emotional challenges, it's not necessarily even those things that happen. It's the thoughts that we attach to the things that happen, right? This is bad. We label it, we judge it. Then all of a sudden, a thing that might be a challenge gets really unbearable, or it gets terrifying. We don't need to do that. We could consciously, very deliberately choose our thoughts. And that's what this is about. So this is a wrap up to week the first lesson, or week one's class. Again, think about it, review the lesson, think about how it relates to you. Think about what resonates with you. Do you buy this? Do you not buy this? And we will move on to week 2 next time.